Swamini Namaste Natalokabandho Karunya Sindho Patitam Bhavabdho Mamuddharatmiya Kataksha Drishtya Rajvyati Karunya Sudhabhivrishya Swamini Namaste Swamini Namaste Swamini Namaste Swamini Namaste Jnana Swarupam Nijabhavayuktam Anandamanandakaram Prasannam Yogindramedhyam Bhavarogavadyam Srimad Gurum Nityamaham Namami Srimad Gurum Nityamaham Namami Nityaya Satyaya Chidatmakaya Navyaya Bhavyaya Paratparaya Shuddhaya Buddhaya Niranjanaya Namostu Nityam Guru Shekharaya Namostu Nityam Guru Shekharaya Namostu Nityam Guru Shekharaya. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru. So I have been discussing Chitta Prasadaha, the portion from Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sara Sangraha, Shankaracharya's composition. And in doing that, we have been discussing step by step that Vairagya is necessary, Mumuksha is necessary, and discrimination or vichara is necessary for liberation of the shackles of the mind and intelligence. That is, the mind and intelligence should be liberated from its shackles. So, we have been discussing step by step, and as we understand, we feel very inspired, and we understand also this, that there is a process. Some disciplines should be followed, pursued, so that the mind becomes peaceful, placid. And last session, I discussed with you one sloka by Shankaracharya from Viveka Chudamani, his composition, Vishuddha Sattvasya Gunaha Prasadaha. That is, the mind should take to the discipline of increasing and cultivating Sattva Guna more and more in every facet of life. All the sense organs should be liking to be sattvic. And whether we are working, whether we are doing any other thing, our mind should be loving Sattva Guna and also constantly do vichara to see whether our activities are sattvic or not, whether our likings or whatever we love, those are sattvic or not. So the disciplines we were discussing slowly. And in that, then we came to this sloka where Shankaracharya is saying, when the mind goes Vishuddha Sattva, it becomes Vishuddha Sattva. At any time, our all activities, everything in this world also is a mixture of the three gunas. So, we try to improve and cultivate in Sattva Guna. When this Sattva Guna also becomes pure, at that time the mind becomes placid. Vishuddha Sattvasya Gunaha Prasadaha Swatmanubhutihi. And what is the effect? You start having the feeling or the realization of the self. Triptihi, contentment. Praharshaha, exhilaration. Paramatmanishtha. That is, whatever we do, our mind only dwells in the self. Always remains connected with the self. Everything is in the abidance of the self. So, these things happen, and by which Yaya Sadanandarasam Samrichati. Always, Sada means always, Anandarasam Samrichati. The mind becomes supremely blissful. All our ananda that we try to get from life is dependent on some external objects. And this, what happens when we grow in Sattva Guna and we are absolutely pure, the mind becomes absolutely pure, then the mind becomes placid and the self reveals itself. So, the nature of the self, which is Ananda Swarupa, that Ananda Rasa, we are always able to be aware of it, not only aware, we get soaked in it, and that becomes a state. So I was taking these slokas, this set of slokas, and then it says, to make the mind peaceful and placid, some disciplines are necessary to grow in Sattva Guna. And we have taken this example, I think every other day I talk about it, that when the mind is calm and placid, self reveals itself. When the mind has ripples and disturbances and agitations, we fail to understand our real Swarupa, our identity, which is absolutely unaffected, which is imperishable, which is fearless, which is absolutely free of anything. We forget that self. And that is also because of our mistaken identity. Whereas the self is changeless. This changeful body we think as the I. Whereas our real identity is that self inside us. We consider the gross body along with its mind and intelligence to be the I. So, this mistaken identity also brings about lots of desires, possessiveness, clinging, ego, etc., which disturb the mind, apart from the tendencies of the mind. So, I started from this sloka. Yameshu nirato yastu niyameshu ichayatnataha vivekinastasya chittam prasadam adhigacchati. So, now these few slokas, Shankaracharya is saying, what all disciplines we must take to, so that the mind becomes placid, prasadam, placidity of the mind. See, in Bhagavad Gita, we come across this sloka in second chapter itself, where Krishna is telling Arjuna, Ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaicharan Atmavashair vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. He says this. So, what does he say? He is saying, Krishna is telling Arjuna that, O Arjuna, to have this prasadam of the mind, placidity of the mind, what you should do is, you should have restraint of your mind and restraint of your senses. And you should go beyond the dvandva of raga and dvesha. That is, we get always afflicted by likes and dislikes. Why is our mind so disturbed, so afflicted, even if we for some time say we want some it, the mind become very placid. That placidity is dependent on whatever we had wished for, we have got. And sometimes what happens, then also the mind is very placid. Good job.
We regret the technical issue we had here at the live streaming end. We'll be resuming mass talk now.
Tell me where from I have to start. Right from beginning? Right from beginning. Okay. So I don't know where to start from. So whatever comes to my mind, I'll start telling that. So I was discussing that we have to grow in Sattva Guna. We have been discussing that. And why Sattva Guna is to be cultivated? Because when the Sattva Guna is cultivated, the mind becomes very transparent and pure. And in that, the self gets reflected. So, that is why, although our whole activity or even our life is the mixture of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, we should always try to grow our Sattva Guna by taking to certain disciplines which are not difficult to do at all. But we must love to become Sattvic in every facet of our life. And so I was discussing that last session I discussed about what is the effect of being pure, having pure Sattva Guna. Shankaracharya says that Vishuddha Sattvasya Gunaha Prasadaha Swatmanubhutihi Parama Prashantihi Truptihi Praharshaha Paramatma Nishtha Yaya Sadanandarasam Samrichyati. So, he says that when one becomes pure, one becomes fully sattvic, and even he goes beyond the bondages of Sattva Guna. Sattva Guna also has a bondage. When we start becoming sattvic, it says, Arjuna is being told by Krishna that Sukha Sangena Padnati Jnane Sangena Janagha. That we start really having this, this purity, the ananda, then this feeling of bliss, having the taste of the jnana, and the blissfulness that we have, contentment that we have. One gets attached to that. And one's concentration or focus becomes only whether I am having this kind of sukha or not. Whereas self should be the focus. So it says that when one tends to grow in sattvic qualities, then also one should keep to this mind that one has to go beyond that also. So that is Vishuddha Sattva. It is the Gunadita state. And there one gets the quality of prasadaha. I am discussing this chapter, Chitta Prasadaha from Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sara Sangraha. And there it says that for Chitta Prasadaha, we have to grow in Sattva Guna. And why should we have Chitta Prasadaha? Because only when the mind becomes placid, tranquil, calm, the self will be revealed. In an agitated mind, disturbed mind, afflicted mind, angry mind, there will be only disturbances. So whatever is our Swarupa, our real identity, the self, it will not be revealed to us. So when we grow to Vishuddha Sattva state, we have prasadaha, placidity. Then swatmanubhuti, that is realization of one's own self. And this placidity is not dependent on any object. It is spontaneous. It is the nature of the self. So, swatmanubhutihi parama prashantihi. The prashanti, the peacefulness that one gets, that is absolutely eternal. It doesn't ever get disturbed, that peace. Truptihi, contentment. praharshaha, exhilaration, and paramatmanishta, one's abidance is only in the self. He'll be always be connected to the self. He will be active because he is in the world. He'll be doing a lot of activity. There will be thought in the mind. He'll be speaking, he'll be acting, he'll be interacting. But he will never fall from this connectedness, the feeling that I am the self and I am connected to the self. So all his actions will be while remaining in that realization. Yaya, by which sada, always, incessantly, ceaselessly, anandarasam samrichati. He will be constantly he will constantly enjoy and will attain what? Anandarasa. Our self is Ananda Swarupa. Like a fountain giving out Ananda. Ananda is constantly getting radiated. We don't understand it because of all the desires, possessiveness, ego, etc., because of our mistaken identity with the gross body, with mind and intelligence, which are changeful. But Atma, as our real identity, our Swarupa, is changeless. And it is of the nature of Ananda. So since we identify with this gross body, and because we identify, the mind always is disturbed, buddhi is confused, so we are not able to understand the self which gives out Ananda, which is our real self. So it says that try to grow in Sattva Guna. So what we were discussing in the previous session, that is last week, I did this, the sloka number 364 of Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sara Sangraha. Yameshu nirato yastu niyameshu cha yatnataha vivekinas tasya chittam prasadam athigacchati. It says that those who diligently is devoted to the various yamas and niyamas, that is some disciplines. Tasya vivekinaha chittam, the mind of that man who has discrimination, prasadam adhigacchati, that man, that seeker, that sadhaka, who diligently and makes effort to grow in certain disciplines, which will grow Sattva Guna in him, that is being discussed. And what is being said? That if he is diligently is devoted to the various yamas and niyamas, certain disciplines. Now, in this particular sloka, they are talking about yama and niyama. And I'll tell you what. There are many other slokas. Actually, the spirituality is in one thing to understand the self. We read how our spiritual texts have described the self, has told us what one attains when one realizes that I am the self, and in various ways. But how to go there? The step-by-step going is to purify oneself. Purify oneself and remove all the ripples from the mind by bringing in such qualities, the qualities which will not disturb the mind but will make the mind shanta, peaceful, placid. So, apart from one's meditating, reading scriptures, doing vichara on the scriptures, apart from that, one must grow in the spiritual qualities which the Jivan Muktas, the seers, the wise people, the realized people have. So, here, in this particular sloka, it is saying Yama and Niyama. So let us see what is told further. There are few things which we must mark I've told you many times, my dear children, our reading should not be just reading. Read every word thoroughly. Understand what it is telling us. See, they have said, Yameshu nirataha yastu niyameshu cha yatnataha. Here one word is very, very important. He's talking about Yama and Niyama. What are Yama and Niyama? We will see. But what is this word yatnataha? One must make effort sincerely. So we just read and feel that, oh, Yama and Niyama I have understood. I have to do that. It's not that alone. You must be sincere enough to, first of all, understand what is Yama and Niyama. Secondly, see in your life throughout the day, are you adhering to them or are you away from them? If you are not adhering, why are you not adhering? What is hindering you? This yatnataha, vichara, yatna, effort, all should be very, very sincere. And it also says, see, yatnataha, vivekinaha tasya vivekinasya. Who is vivekina? Who can discriminate, who can do vichara, who is given to vichara. That is why Swamiji also says so much about the mind and intelligence. The whole of Bhagavad Gita, it talks about the Buddhi Yoga. You have to apply our intelligence. That is, it's not that you just give yourself to certain routines. Even Yama and Niyama, when we go a little ahead, we'll find we are understanding. And many of the people who are different from the common mass of people, they are devotional, they are spiritual, they are interested in spirituality, but ultimately it becomes a routine. Chanting something in the morning, something in the evening, lighting lamps, meditating for some time. Or nowadays you have access to so many YouTube lectures. It becomes a routine of that. But what does it say? Tasya vivekinasya. You must become a vivekina. What is? You must become a viveki, a vicharavan. Who should do vichara? What is the vichara? First of all, understanding. Secondly, how I can be like this. And secondly, how I am not that. Why is it that I am not being able to be so? And also the vichara, what you are going to attain by taking to the disciplines, growing in Sattva Guna, that is our topic of concern. Every seeker, my dear children, every seeker, the only thing is this: one must become pure. And I think there is a lot of joy in just the thought that I want to become pure. That word pavitra in Sanskrit, that pavitrata, it is just like getting up early in the morning, when the dawn is not yet there. The sun is about to rise and the darkness will be receding. The whole atmosphere is silent except for the singing of the birds. And slowly some light comes from the eastern side. A breeze touches us and gives his touch and passes away. That pavitrata, the flowers bloom. How beautifully they bloom. Without wanting anybody's praise, every day the flowers are blooming to its best. They are the Creator's creations. And we also, in such moments, when we sit quietly, we also get merged with that infinity. But we human beings, we have so many desires, so many plans, so many things constantly crisscrossing in the mind. Our purity remains at the back, and many other things veils our purity. We are ever pure. The self is ever pure. And I am that. My existence, my reality is that. But we are not able to realize it or even taste it. So, a person who really loves spirituality has to be vicharavan, a viveki. All the moments when we feel I am pure, I have got pure thoughts, pure moments, pure talks, pure association, everything we should try to assess with other moments and think how the other moments also can be pure like this. Although we'll have to be very active in various situations, All situations will not be very pure, not be likable, not be favorable. But even in that, how to remain in that purity? That should be our love, our aim. Just like when a boy and a girl, they love each other, whatever they do, their thoughts will be for each other. Our love should be that purity which is the self. That self-effulgent radiation, the brilliance which is the self, the unaffectedness which is the self, the placidity, the prasada which is the self. We should not fall from that. We should look for it and love that the most in our lives. That should be the one ideal for every seeker. So it says, Tasya vivekinasya chittam prasadam adhigacchati. Then I was telling, this prasadam word, prasadam adhigacchati, we read in the Bhagavad Gita. I think most of you have read. It comes in the 2nd chapter where Krishna is telling Arjuna about how the mind, the sense organs get distracted, get attracted to the objects, corresponding objects, and what happens. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha and all that. And then it says, remaining in the world, in the midst of all kinds of attractive things which attract the sense organs and the senses, one still can have prasadam if one trains the mind to go beyond raga and dvesha, that is likes and dislikes. Don't have particular liking for something. Don't have dislike for anything. Go beyond that. How will you go? By vichara. That whatever we like, even if we get, we will not be happy. We may be happy for some time. Then that thing that we have gained, it will go off. It will become either old or it will be lost. Even if we get something which we have wished for, we are always fearful that it will be lost. So anxiety will remain. And suppose we do not get, then we become angry. Either we have become angry, or we become blameful, or we become very depressed and sad. We grumble. So both raga and dvesha, they create only disturbance in the mind. So doing this vichara, one should constantly train the mind that let whatever comes, comes. Whatever is in the life, we always want to have the best. Try for it. But if you do not get it, don't become depressed. If you get it, don't become elated. Because after some time, that will also go. Because things are transitory, ephemeral. So this being vicharavan or viveki is an absolute necessity, indispensable for a seeker. Now it comes, yameshu nirataha yastu niyameshu cha yatnataha vivekinastasya chittam prasadam adhigachyati. So I was relating it to this ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischcharan atmavashyair vidheyatma prasadam adhigachyati. So, and after that what? After that it says, prasade sarva dukkhanam hani rasyopajayate. If the mind is placid, then all the dukkhas, all sorrows will be dissolved. There won't be any dukkha in the mind. The mind becomes placid. Why does it become placid? Because there is no raga and dvesha. Raga dvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischcharan. I forgot. Raga dvesha viyuktaistu I explained. It also says that to have prasada, one must restrain the mind and one must restrain the senses. If you are able to do that, that is, go beyond raga and dvesha, and with a mind restrained and senses restrained, a person, even if one is in the midst of all kinds of attractive objects, or worldly objects and situations, one will be able to remain fixed in prasada. The mind will attain prasadam. So, in this Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sara Sangraha, it has brought about the disciplines Yama and Niyama. Now, what is Yama and Niyama? Now, Yama and Niyama, etc., it is very well, it all comes in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Ashtanga Yoga is there. And in the Ashtanga Yoga, there are Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. I'm not going into that. So, Yama and Niyama. Yama consists of the restraints or the moral disciplines of the mind, etc. It has 5 elements in that. What is that? Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha. What is Ahimsa? All of you know. Non-killing, non-harming, non-hurting by thought, word, deed. Not hurting anybody, not killing anything. This is Ahimsa. Satya is truthfulness. Truthfulness and equalness in mind, speech and action. That is what your mind thinks and what you speak and your behavior, all should be harmonious. Then Asteya, non-stealing, not stealing anything. Brahmacharya, keeping celibacy. Aparigraha, not taking any dana or gift and not accumulating anything. This is the common meanings of these words. But in a spiritual context, this is Shankaracharya, he is discussing Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Sara Sangraha. In that, in Chitta Prasadaha, he has brought these 2 words, Yama and Niyama. So we must understand the spiritual implication of these words. So what is Yama? Under Yama, Ahimsa. So Ahimsa is non-killing, non-hurting, not hurting anybody. Now, if we consider it spiritually, that is renouncing any kind of hatefulness. See, we can harm somebody. Either we can harm oneself or we make somebody harm another. That is, I am personally not harming, but we tell another to harm that person by word, by deed, by actually beating somebody. Or if somebody has done something, some kind of hurt, though I have not done anything, I also approve of it. All these are ahimsa. All these are himsa, sorry. So we should not be doing any of that. How can we get rid of any of these? Not having any kind of harming tendency, hateful tendency, blaming tendency, criticizing others, not even mentally. It's not that we speak out. See, we may not kill somebody or beat somebody, but we can do it by our words. Also, ahimsa will be that when we do not even have that kind of a feeling in our mind. Even if it comes, if we want to become pure, we should be constantly telling, I don't want to have even this feeling, a feeling of hatred, a feeling of dvesha at all. How will that be? Again, everything goes to the self. When we realize the self, say everybody on this path has not realized, but one knows that I am the self and there is a universal self. Everybody, this one self is there in everybody. When we know this as a knowledge, all have not realized it. It is just a knowledge in the brain. But having that knowledge, when the feeling of himsa, that is, a feeling of hatred, feeling of dislike, all this come in the mind. Feeling of anger comes in the mind. This knowledge should help us that my Swarupa, everybody is my Swarupa. If you feel that, then who will hate whom? Only when there is a second person, we can have likes and dislikes. When we know that self is everywhere and is the same self everywhere, who will hate whom? Who will dislike whom? So, by practicing these, see, most of us will not be having this kind of, one may not go and beat up somebody or kill somebody. But hateful feelings everybody has. Dislike feeling everybody has. Everybody has blaming tendency, fault-finding tendency. And in the mind, all those will be constantly coming up about others. How to get rid of that? Constantly thinking of the self. And telling these tendencies whenever they rise up, please leave me. I do not want any more. This is the way one should get rid of it. Satya, truthfulness, equalness in mind, speech and behavior. So this is the normal meaning. And spiritually, it is aiming at the spiritual truth. See, everything is only pointing to what? Knowing the self. So aiming at the spiritual truth, the Atma, through all thoughts, all speech, all actions, all behavior. So, Satya, the truth, the supreme truth. What is the supreme truth? That I am the self. And everywhere is the same self. This truth one must constantly remember in various situations, various interactions, while doing activities. Whenever the mind is disturbed, just stop for a moment and think this, that this is the truth. Because I am not established in the truth, I find everything as differential, different from me. That is why my mind gets agitated. So aiming at the spiritual truth, that is the Satya, spiritual truth, not only truthfulness in speech. We feel that Satya means telling the truth. It's not only that. Truth should be in the mind, truth should be in the speech, truth should be in behavior, and ultimately it is finding the truth, which is the supreme reality. Asteya is non-stealing. That is, don't take things which does not belong to you. Even mentally you should not feel. Stealing is what? I think most of us, we don't steal. But we steal definitely. You know how? When we see something somebody is having, the very feeling that, oh, he has a better car or a better gadget and I don't have, that is also a stealing. Why do you want to have it? Mentally you have seen something and you want to have it. Mentally you are taking it. So, renouncing all kinds of desires is spiritual meaning of Asteya. What is the spiritual meaning? Spiritual meaning is not that I pick up something which belongs to others and when the person is not knowing, take it. It can be one object, it can be money, not that. Spiritually, and we are all spiritual. Everybody is spiritual. We are all spiritual sadhaks, seekers. So for spiritual seekers, the Asteya is renouncing all kinds of desires. When everything is Atma, what is to be desired and from whom? That saying, Atma is everywhere. Brahmacharya, celibacy, keeping Brahmacharya. But in spirituality, Brahmacharya means also dwelling in Brahma. Who dwells in Brahman. That is, the mind always comes away and sees the self everywhere, sees Brahman everywhere, associates with Brahman, remains connected to Brahman. This connectedness goes off, then you try again. That is, you dwell in the thoughts of Brahman. Otherwise, I'm reading this, and as I tell always, if for any spiritual seeker, I think everybody wants a quiet mind. Placidity, everybody wants. And in doing so, I'm saying what? Not my words. Scriptures are saying you must have some disciplines. And what are the disciplines spiritually? It is saying that do not have any kind of hatefulness or dislike, which is Ahimsa. See the self everywhere so that there won't be any hatefulness for another. That is only one self. Satya is also that. See the truth that self is one self, one Atma, one Brahman. Asteya, renounce all desire so that everything is Atma. Who will take what from whom? Brahmacharya is dwelling in Brahman. That also is again through all thought, speech, action, interaction, dwell in Brahman. Live your life, but give that the supreme position. Everything that you do, try to connect with the Brahman. It cannot be that your spiritual life is only 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening. The whole day, as long as you are awake, it should become spiritual. How will it be spiritual? When you dwell in that. Whatever happens, you start thinking spiritually. How is it connected to spirituality? And that is thinking only that. The desires have come, disappointment has come, sense of failure has come, sense of success has come, only because I am not feeling I am the self and I am seeing differentiation. Or these thoughts that everything that is given to me, every situation, every object that I enjoy is destined by some supreme power. And that is why I do my best, but what is the result of my activity? That is designed. So I should go beyond what? The dvandvas, beyond the feelings of success or failure. Success means raga, I like success. Failure means dvesha, I do not like failure. What does this shloka say? Ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischaran. So, success and failure will come, honor and dishonor will come, sukha and dukkha will come, but be beyond it. How will you go beyond it? By restraining the mind and the senses, and also knowing that everything is the self. So this kind of association. And lastly in Yama is Aparigraha, not taking any dana or gift. And spiritually, here also, do not have the desire of anything except realizing the self. Why do we want that? We become very happy actually when we get gifts. Somebody, even if a small gift, somebody gives, and that can be just an object, it can be a praise, it can be some good words. So we become very happy. We are always looking for that. But why should it be? So, your joy should be targeted at only having self-realization. I'll be happy if I can see the self everywhere. Prahlada told his friends, Ekanta bhaktir govinde yat sarvatra tadikshanam. Said that, my dear friends, have one-pointed devotion. What is that one-pointed devotion in Vedanta? One-pointed devotion to the Brahman. The aim, one-pointed devotion to the aim of realizing the self and seeing the self everywhere. That is the aim. Devotion to the aim. Our devotion gets distracted. We are devoted to the family more and not to this aim. Every one of you look into yourself. Where is your aim? You will be loving your family, your property, your qualification, your job, your profession, your prestige, your name. All this will be loved. And how much in comparison you love Brahman or self? This love should grow, because that alone will stay, that is permanent, that is eternal. And all the loves that we have, either they will leave us or I will leave them. They will not stay. So, this dana or gift, it's not that you should not take. If somebody gives you anything, we should be happy, but we should be humble. We should be feeling grateful that somebody has felt like giving me something. You should become happy also, but not wanting it. That desire should not be there. And there will be so much of quarrels between wives and husband if the husband does not give some gift to the wife on an anniversary day. We have heard many wives saying that I have never got anything on my anniversary day, no gift given. Those are desires. The love of the husband, the support of the husband, vice versa. The togetherness, the trustfulness, all these are the gifts. Doing things together in life. Those are the gifts and not an object. But people become attracted to material objects. So, spiritually we should think that we don't want anything except the Atma. Except the Atma. I think I am remembering, I have told this story many times, but maybe I can tell here again. Not in the context of Yama and Niyama. When in the earlier days, ashram was very small, a small kutia-like place. And the room where I used to stay was very small, and the roof was very low. It was an asbestos roof, and lying on the cot, I could touch the ceiling also. One side, it was a veranda, and later on it was made into a small room. At one side was open, and wooden grills were there. No window. So when my cot was just by the side of the window. So when it used to rain, lot of rain used to come. And when there would be some kind of breeze or storm, lot of dust would come. And the hill, those who have come to the ashram, they know that we are in the hilly place. The hill was just maybe 4 feet away from that window. It was a long window. So in rainy season, there would be a lot of grass growing in the hilly portion, and all those grasses used to sometimes come through the wooden grill into my room. So some people who would come to me in my room, they would say, "Don't you feel afraid?" Along with the grass, other things also can come. But I was in that room. So Swamiji once decided to do some renovation in the old building itself. And in that, one was to raise the roof and also make that, which was a window, that was also no width at all. Maybe it was just maybe 2 feet opening. So he wanted to make it a little more open, and the ceiling had to be raised. Asbestos has to be removed because it is not very healthy. All that work was going on. So a lot of work was going on. Then naturally, when that was broken and work was going on, then everything became nearly ready. And suddenly, when everything is nearly ready, suddenly it struck me, this is being done. So at this time, Swamiji could have put windows so that I could close the windows when it rains. And if grasses grew very long, then also I can close it so that no insect or reptiles would come inside. So at that time, I called Swamiji one day and told that, "Swamiji, I'm feeling that we can have some windows here." He looked from my head to foot and said that, "What will you do with windows?" I said that, "No, we can close it. When it rains, I can close it so that the rainwater will not come. Dust also comes. And then when the grass comes, I'm a little afraid." So he again looked from my head to foot and then said, "You have become very non-austere," and left the scene. Left. So I felt, yes, it went very deep inside me, and I felt, yes, why did I ask? Is something this to be asked? All seeker, if I am a real seeker, I should be happy in any place. And I'm really having a shelter above my head. Maybe some rainwater is coming. Maybe some grass is coming, and Even though I was not that afraid, people were sometimes scaring me. So what of that? Everything I've got. So have I come here to ask for a window? Why did I ask? And I felt very ashamed of myself that when that spirit of renunciation is there, it is apart from the self, I want nothing else. Then why did I ask this? And that day I wrote in my diary, Aparigraha. I will not ask anything. If something is given, I will see whether I use it or not. So this Aparigraha, this is what happens. Many of the things, when you are at the Guru's feet, such things you come to understand. Otherwise it is not, by oneself will not understand. Where is your desire? What need not be done? And where unnecessarily we are making things complex. So, Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya and Aparigraha. Then, Niyama. Niyama is Shaucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya and Ishvara Pranidhana. This Shaucha is cleanliness of the mind and body. Body and mind. Body can be cleaned by taking bath. And generally the body we clean with either earlier days they used to use mud and all that. These days we have soap and other things. So body cleaning is everybody's everyday affair. Nobody has to tell. But by cleaning the body, the mind doesn't become clean. The mind has to be cleaned by good thoughts, noble thoughts. And that is why Yudhishthira is being told, in Mahabharata there is a shloka. It says that na varina shuddhyate chantaratma. Na varina shuddhyate chantaratma. You can go and dip yourself in a holy river even, Ganges. People go for punya, but by that dip in the holy river, let aside any water, the antaratma doesn't become shuddha. People feel that I have become pure by taking a dip in Ganges. But that doesn't happen. You have to have good qualities and noble qualities. See, in Bhagavatam there is a shloka, I think I'll be able to remember. Vidya tapa prana nirodha maitri tirthabhishekam vratadana japyaihi natyanta shuddhim labhate chantaratma yatha ridhiste bhagavatyanante. It says that vidya, tapaha, vidya means if you are learned, if you have done lot of tapas, prana nirodha, pranayama, see, all these are coming under niyama. Vidya comes swadhyaya. Vidya, tapas. In niyama there is one tapas. Prana nirodha, here there is pranayama also is there in the Ashtanga Yoga. Vidya tapa prana nirodha maitri tirthabhisheka tapadana jappaihi tapadana vrataihi. So, if you go to pilgrimage, you have given lot of dana to many people, you have taken vows. So if you have done tapasya, you have done pranayama, you have given lot of dana, you have gone to pilgrim spots and taken bath in the holy rivers. In all these things, by doing all these things, and by doing japa and samadhi and all that, natyanta shuddhim labhate antaratma. The antaratma does not become shuddha. Yatha hridisthe bhagavat anante. How will the antaratma become shuddha? Antaratma will become shuddha if you are able to keep God inside you. That is, feel God inside you always. Nitya yukta. Remain nitya yukta. Nitya yukta. That is, feel that presence inside you always. Yatha hridisthe bhagavat anante. The ananta, the infinite God, the all-pervading God, who is all-pervading, is also inside me. You remain yukta with Him, feel the presence, never forget that presence. We always forget that presence. We always remember our name, our house, our children, our office, all those things we remember. And we remember, even if we are doing many other things, we don't forget how many children we have. Where are our parents? Where is my house? You may be doing some work which is involving, engrossing. These thoughts will not be forgotten. But we forget Bhagavan. We forget that presence inside us. That nitya yuktata. My dear children, after everything, this nitya yuktata is the aim. So it says that you may do anything. Lot of punya karma you are doing. But natyanta shuddhim labhate antaratma. Antaratma doesn't become shuddha by all these things. Whereas if you keep that infinite God, the limitless God inside you, and feel His presence inside and outside, then the antaratma is shuddha. So, shaucha. Shaucha means, spiritually it means atma jnana, through falling of desires and ego. Natyanta shuddhim labhate antaratma. So, when we keep God, presence of God inside, how will it happen? Realization of God, when all the desires, possessiveness, ego, which are the disturbing elements of the mind, have fallen off. And we get the Atma Dhyana, that I am the self, or God is inside me. Devotionally, if you speak, God is inside me, God is there inside me. My antaratma, as my antaratma, He is there. I am the self. That feeling, that realization, and that being established in this realization, not the knowledge itself. And how will it happen? We have seen so many times we are remembering, reminding us, the mind has to be placid. That is why this chitta prasadaha we are discussing. The mind has to be placid so that the real self reveals itself. Desires should fall because desires are the disturbing elements. Then santosha, tapas, swadhyaya, ishvara pranidhana. Santosha is contentment, tapas is austerity like fasting, vows, etc. Swadhyaya is study of spiritual texts. Ishvara pranidhana is surrender to God. So these are the usual meanings. Only for shaucha I told you what is the spiritual meaning. I'll do it again. What is the spiritual meaning of santosha? What exactly is santosha? And what is tapas? What kind of tapas we should do? It's not that all the householders should go to the caves. All of you are householders mostly. It's not that you have to go to the caves or forest or by the side of a river. No. What kind of tapas we can do so that we grow in Sattva Guna, grow in prasada. Then swadhyaya. We read the spiritual texts. We keep on reading, keep on hearing. Is that swadhyaya? No. Whatever you are reading, you have to become that. That is Svadhyaya. You have to look for that. You are learning about Atma, reading about Atma, Atma Jnana, when from various texts, various concepts, and various states of spiritual realization is told, how much bliss we get. And when we read. But anusandhana, you have to look for that. You have to become that. You have to love that. Make effort for that. Yatnataha. So, this is what. But whenever I am discussing all this, in my mind I feel that, does it become in everybody's mind that so many things have to be done in spiritual pursuit? Actually not. If you do one, another will come by itself. It's only thing that your mind should be loving the purity. Atma is pure. Atma is placid. Only remember and love those words. This Yama, Niyama, etc. will happen. Once in a while you can see whether you are doing things conducive to those disciplines, or you are doing something else. I feel that only loving that spiritual path, loving the aim, loving the purity, and loving this, this aim, remaining nitya yukta. I think the other day Swamiji was talking about one shloka from Mandukya Karika. Tattvam adhyatmikam drishtva, tattvam tatvibhutaha tada ramah tattvat aprachyuto bhavet. Tattvam adhyatmikam drishtva, tattvam drishtva tu bahyatah. Tatvibhutaha tada ramah tattvat aprachyuto bhavet. Tattvam adhyatmikam drishtva. Now, I think hearing, listening, the spiritual seekers, they know the self. And that becomes a problem. One becomes complacent. One feels that I know. And that is why most of the seekers, they get stopped there. That feeling of I know. Actually, it is not the knowing. It is the becoming. So what does this sloka say? Tattvam adhyatmikam drishtva. The adhyatma tattva, that I am the self and everything is the self. You understood, you have known. Tattvam drishtva tu bahyataha. I am the self. And this self, bahyataha. Everywhere is this self. Knowing this or understanding this, tatvibhutaha, one should become that. Bhutaha means becoming that. Tatvibhutaha tadaramaha. And rejoicing in that, becoming that and rejoicing in that tattva, tattvat aprachyuto bhavet. From that tattva, never fall down. Never fall down. So, what is that? I am nitya yukta. I am the self. I am ever united with the self. You should hum throughout the day. I am nitya yukta. I am the self. I am the self. And don't fall. So, on the path of this, we have to see whether we are falling. We find we have fallen. Okay, doesn't matter. Again start. Actually, it is very adventurous. I always say that it is adventurous, joyful. There is not much effort necessary. Only you have to love it. love this path and love this process. Love the scriptures and love whatever you have understood, love that. Everything will become very, very easy. Sampurnam jagadevanandanavanam sarvepi kalpadrumaha gangam vari samasta vari nivaha punya samasta kriyaha vacha prakrita samskrita shruti shiro varanasi medini sarvavasthitirasya vastu vishaya drishti parabrahmani sarvavasthitirasya vastu vishaya drishti parabrahmani. Jai Guru, Jai Guru, Jai Guru. See, my voice was very good. Everybody would say melodious voice. And I liked reciting very well. Always I got lot of joy reciting. Now I cannot. And now I find I'm having lack of breath. I'm not able to recite to the liking and my own satisfaction. So, ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischaran atmavasyair vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. Whatever it is, have prasada in the mind. Whether I can sing, chant, not chant, whether I get stuck in the middle, prasadam of the mind should not be lost. Should not be lost. Okay.